What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Martian and Ozzy podcast. I am the Martian, joined by my co-host, as always, Ozzy. And this week, we're going to be talking about the UFC Fight Night card going down this weekend from the UFC Apex, headlined by Mackenzie Dern versus Angela Hill. 12 fights to analyze for you guys this week. What's up, Ozzy? How we doing this week, my man?
I'm doing great. We're about to turn the page over to Gemini season, which you obviously know is always a big time of year for me. But unfortunately, Uncle Dana served us up so good card to lead us into Memorial Day weekend, which the UFC always takes off because Dana White loves his country. And he definitely donates, I think, and spends his time with veterans all the time, and he always wants to have his people have that week off. So
He's a
let's do
great
our
guy.
best here. He's an awesome guy. I love him.
Right.
Let's do our best here. Next week's card, that June 3rd card, I feel way more bangers on it. A lot more fights that I'm, very interested in seeing and having some action on. Well, let's see what we could do with this card. Maybe a few opinions here and there. But definitely, man, this prelim card is rough, is a rough one.
It is. It is. There's maybe 2 or 3 fights that should be entertaining that you can look forward to, like CDF Johnson, maybe Maheshate-Borschev, Hernandez Shahbazyan, but outside of that, it's looking pretty bleak. I do agree that June 3rd card looks, a little more, promising. And, you were just saying something about Gemini season. I watched an interview with Mackenzie Dern. She was reiterating something you've been saying for a while. She said, "I'm 30 now. I'm feeling in the athletic prime of my career," and that's what you were saying with this
Boom.
these 93 kids is they it just happens to align with like the prime of your athletic career around
She's
that
a
age.
little late. She's a little late to notice, but it was because she was she was married.
Right.
So that was her I think one of her chakras. I'm talking to a girl, she's teaching me about chakras. I think one of her chakra gates was suppressed. And now that she opened up that hole, no pun intended, she's back and she's ready to dominate. And
Yeah.
yeah, she's gonna do a number on your girl on Saturday.
She's opening up a few holes, I bet. But
I
yeah, I
bet.
mean, being a single mother is probably not at the best base for MMA, if we're being honest. That interview
Yeah.
though, she was just talking about how she's like going from camp to camp and like a lot going on in her life. But bad signs for Mackenzie there.
She's not with Perillo anymore?
I
Is
don't
that
think so. Or at least
well,
I'm not completely sure, but um
she's fucking weird, but it don't matter, bro. Angela Hill does not know jujitsu, and the only way for her to win, Kenzie, is with jujitsu.
yeah, well, we'll get to that a little bit later. First thing we got to talk about is these 11 fights before that. And we're starting things off with the bottom of the barrel here, guys. Welterweight division, Takeshi Sato, Themba Gorimbo. Pick 'em line here, -110 on both sides. Um, I've got a confident opinion in this one, and is if you are confident in any bet on this fight, you need to reevaluate things, guys, because these two guys suck at MMA. And there's really not like a good like feel on how like I don't even know, man. I don't know how anybody could like research these guys and come away with like, oh, I'm confident in this guy or I'm confident in this bet. I see some people like in the overs and the goes the distance. I guess maybe, but I don't know, man. This shit's gonna be sloppy. I really realistically could see either guy winning, but I truthfully have no idea how this one's gonna play out. I guess Garimbo's gonna try to grapple. Sato's a pretty horrible grappler, but man, I don't know. What any thoughts at all here with conviction, Ozzy?
I mean, the only thought that I have is that maybe Sato coming in here, southpaw, maybe could get to Themba, but dude, honestly, I didn't have opinions really of the Themba guy in his first fight either. Lost that by submission, right? Fletcher
Yeah,
submitted him,
yeah.
right? Yeah, so I don't really have too many thoughts about him. Then I saw him, he was moving around a little bit, a little explosive, but then he just kind of faded, like kind of quickly, and I don't know. So I would honestly pick Sato. I mean, I pick him. I'd take Sato, even though his ground game has looked so pitiful. He just doesn't look that interested. Got knocked. Like the worst thing has happened. Things have happened to this guy. Like getting put out immediately by Brown Battle, having your back taken for the whole round against fucking what's his name, Gunnar
Gunner.
Nelson, having the debut against Bilal
Bilal
Muhammad.
getting
It's
finished by
like
Bilal.
getting finished by Bilal. Yeah, it's like man, a lot of bad things have happened for this dude. So maybe he's due for a break. So I'll pick Sato,
I
dude.
like it. Yeah, my instincts point me towards Gorimbo, but I'm gonna pick against those instincts here, and I'll
Good.
agree with you in
Yes.
picking Sato.
Good
But no
choice.
bets for us there. Moving along to the women's flyweight division, Natalia Silva taking on Victoria Leonardo here. Massive favorite Silva minus 1,000, Leonardo plus 700. Any thoughts on this mega juiced women's MMA fight?
Having zero thoughts on this fight other than I know people that laid 500 on Silva and they feel real confident about it. So that's all I gotta say about that fight.
Man, those people need Jesus or something because I don't know. I'm getting to the point where I think there is a value to be had on Victoria Leonardo because I mean, first of all, guys, we're talking about a woman at minus 1,000, and just rewatching Silva's most recent fight against Bleda. Isn't Bleda like mostly a kickboxer? And she was, getting to the clinch, getting her hands clasped. She took her down. She had her in a triangle for a second. And I just think that this is just an overreaction. I mean, Silva's got 2 UFC fights and she's minus 1,000. I think Leonardo will try to clinch, will try to grapple, and if she has any success for even a minute or two, she'll be the value side at plus 700. So keep it a dog shelter size bet here, because that's likely what it is. But plus 700, how wrong can you really be? Um, Next fight is a highly anticipated fight, lightweight debut for Chase Hooper taking on Nick Fiore. The odds for this one, Fiore minus 122, Chase Hooper plus 102. Man, this fight has got the people going this week. We're getting two-way line movement on both guys. The early week betters came in and took up Fiore. Not sure what that was all about. But then, the midweek, we're starting to get some Hooper buyback, and I'm a part of that Hooper buyback. I took him for 1 unit at plus 125 on DraftKings, just because this is probably going to be a grappling fight, and I just trust the more UFC experienced guy. Hooper has been at this higher level for a longer period now. Um, and, I guess Fiore is probably going to be the better striker and wrestler of the two, but I just think these are bound to have competitive grappling exchanges. Fiore looked really, pretty spent in that second half of that fight, even though it was short notice in his debut against Rebecca. But I'll just go Hooper, and he's fighting with a heavy heart after the MMA community lost Felipe Colares, who he beat. So I think he's gonna pull this one off in honor of Felipe, and get the win here in his lightweight debut. What about you?
Love it. I love Chase Hooper. He's the boy. He, I mean, pulverized Felipe Colares. That was in his last. He fought he got knocked out in his last fight. So
Garcia.
yeah, so he got
Yeah.
knocked out in his last fight, but he was a huge favorite in that fight. And and yeah, he's fighting a guy Nick Fiore who like realistically, dude, Nick Fiore has never been in a real fight. Ever, ever, ever. The Rebecca fight, like he just doesn't do a lot of stuff. I don't really think this guy's got a lot of power. And it'll be competitive early. Obviously, that's why it's like close to pick 'em and all. But I think it'll be competitive early. But I just feel the consistent pace of Chase Hooper. This guy just doesn't stop, bro. Even when he's getting killed, this motherfucker's pulling guard, trying to get your back, throwing up a leg lock, triangle. Like he's doing everything he possibly can to win the fight. He doesn't really get tired. He doesn't really get discouraged that much, you know. And I do feel, as someone personally, like, when I was like 21, 22, I definitely noticed a difference like after a bit of weight training. I got way stronger. And it was like there was people that I would have a very, very difficult time with that kind of afterwards are like, oh man, you got like some man strength now. Like, I definitely feel the difference. And I definitely feel that that will happen. It's not if, is when it happens for Chase Hooper. Because you'll go from like being gangly to having maybe like a little bit extra grip strength, being a little bit better base, like structurally not getting moved and shaken up as easily. And I just don't think Nick Fiore is that good. Like, if he gets put on his back, I feel like Chase is able to cut through this dude's guard. He's nasty. He throws good strikes. Always looking for submissions, looking to tie the guy up. So I just feel Chase. He's got some bad tape, right, for sure. But the guy was super young, man. Like he couldn't even buy a beer for a lot of the fights that he has had. And he's just gonna keep it. Like, there's no way this guy's not gonna improve. And he's just even tougher than fucking Nick Fiore as well. You know what I mean? Like, So yeah, give me Chase Hooper, dude. He's got double the fights. This guy, like this dude, Nick Fiore really has never been in a real fight, and you're gonna lay juice on him in an MMA fight because you don't like Chase Hooper.
How was
Seems
wait,
pretty
what
dumb.
Rebecca was a real fight though, wasn't it?
Barely, dude. Come on, that's like not a barely a real fight. Like he was just on his back the whole fucking time.
Yeah, but I don't know.
He didn't do
He
shit.
deserves a little bit. He deserves a little credit for
He's
that
been in
one.
he's been in one fight. Been in one
There
fight.
you
He's
go.
had like 10,
But you
7.
said Hooper's gotta improve. I don't know, bro. Like, I haven't seen many improvements from him so far.
And
I think this guy could
Hooper's left southpaw. Rebecca's not, or this guy's never seen that.
um, okay, so we're going with the Teenage Dream. Next fight, heavyweight division, Iri Latifi, Nascimento. Odds for this one, Nascimento -194, Latifi +169. Any thoughts on this only heavyweight fight on the card?
I'm surprised that Latifi is back. That's first. Second, Nascimento. I just feel that if he's not grappling first, he's just not that good of a fighter. And I feel like Latifi will either grapple first or probably not be able to get taken down by Nascimento, maybe early. But again, sloppy fight. Like, do you really want to bet Latifi? Some people are nuts and they're like, yeah. I mean, I lay how much juice do we have to lay against Olenek? What was that?
Well, I bet one -175, I think.
Yes, I think similar to that. So that was an easy bet. Here, it's like it's gonna be a lay and pray. You know what I mean? And the fact is, like Nascimento, even though he's you haven't really seen him on his back, he's gonna have something compared to fucking Alexei Oleinik and some of these other guys that Latifi's taken down. And he's just like huffing and puffing too. Like if Rodrigo is able to make him work at all, he should be able to get him to severely slow down. That's how some of these fights come down to. You know what I mean? Where it's like the guys are fighting a bit, and you're like, well, wow, if you just stopped one takedown, you would have won the fight. You know what I mean? Like, hey, if you would have stopped that one takedown in the second round, you'd have won the fight. So I could see that something like that happening. But I think Nascimento should be able to throw some jabs. Maybe hurt Latifi with a few shots and pick up a win somehow, some way.
I like the over in this fight, or the goes the distance specifically. Um, just because Latifi seems extremely reluctant to use any energy in fights, so I just think the chances that he finishes are quite low. I think he's gonna have to catch Nascimento with like a big punch and just put him out. Because when we've seen him on the ground in his past few fights, and you can just clearly see he has no interest in finishing on the ground. He's not looking to submit. He's not looking to unleash ground and pound. He's looking to maintain top position, win rounds, and win fights, which is smart, honestly. Nascimento, a bit of the same. I think he's a little more urgent on top, but I was watching the Tanner Bosser fight. He gets Bosser down. Bosser goes full guard, and you know, for 2 minutes he's staying in that full guard. He doesn't even look to pry the legs open and look to pass the guard. He's just chilling on top. He does eventually move to some better positions throughout the fight. But I get the same feeling that he's, looking to preserve cardio. He knows Latifi's not an easy out on bottom. And I just think that this fight is likely to have a lot of grappling. And I think that that's pretty good for the goes to distance. I think those two are pretty correlated. Um, I was actually fairly impressed with Nascimento's cardio in that Bosser fight. He won round one, lost round two, and then dug deep to get the takedown and win the third round there.
Mhm.
So I think Nascimento probably will get it done. Although I was watching Latifi's fight against Olenek, and like you just see that he has very good instincts as a wrestler. Like he's still very seasoned in the game of wrestling. It's just it's very rare that these guys are fighting a guy who want to take them down. It's usually vice versa. So I think there's a lot unknown about this fight, considering that Nascimento hasn't faced many takedown attempts in his career. So um I think from
I
a
could definitely see Latifi carrying this motherfucker on his shoulder, slamming him.
Yeah. Like, I think, like, it probably who lands the first takedown is gonna win. And it's not out of the question that Latifi can hit that first takedown and, make him look like a good bet here. So,
You
money
think
line
you do
wise, I
you
think
think Latifi do you think Latifi could get out from under Nascimento?
yeah, that's tough, man. It really is. When was the last
But
time we
never
even
has Latifi ever been on his back?
I think Corey Anderson might have put him there. Is that true?
Oh.
Back in, 4 years ago or something. But that's what I was saying. That's why this one's tough. Yeah. Did he take him down? No, no takedowns. Yeah. So like, has Latifi ever been fucking taken down in the UFC? No, I don't think he ever has.
think so.
That's fucking crazy. So I mean, yeah, based on that alone, the guy's been in the UFC cage for almost 3 hours and has never been taken down. Maybe I exaggerated that. Maybe it's a little closer to 2 hours. But yeah, takedown defense 100%. So Latifi is the side here at money line, and I like to go as the distance plus 125. That one should be entertaining for as long as it lasts. Um, Welterweight division next, Orion Cosce taking on Gilbert Urbina. Odds for this one, Cosce minus 115, Urbina minus 105. Heavy, heavy steam on Urbina. He was plus 135 to start the week, all the way down to near a pick 'em here. The market is loving Urbina. I don't really get it. I think that this fight uh, is going to be a grind of both guys possibly trying to take each other down. I think Urbina will be more urgent to take the fight to the floor early on because that's just his MO throughout most of his fights is he's looking to take guys down and get them down. But I don't think he's really a good wrestler or grappler. And based on Orion Cosce's fight against Matt Dixon, I thought he did good things there in terms of stuffing takedowns, getting up once, getting taken down, and then he took over that fight on cardio. And just, I just think that that was a very good analog for this type of fight because I think it could look very, very similar to that fight where Urbina might get him down early, might not accomplish much, and then he slows down. Urbina slowed badly in the fight against Brian Battle. He was getting dropped with jabs and punches left and right from Tresean Gore. So if he had cardio issues and chin issues at 185 and now he's cutting back down to 170, I just think those issues could be amplified a little bit more. And Kasi did have a kind of an embarrassing fight against Diamond. It was 1-1 heading into the third round, and he dug deep there and got that takedown to win the third round there. So I think cardio favors Kasi a little bit more. Kossy's a little more experienced at this level, so I'll be going with him at my as my pick at Pick'em. Should hit the cards here. Maybe Kossy round 3 at plus 1,200. Any thoughts for you here?
Yeah, Urbina fucking sucks, and I'd agree that I wanted to bet the guy. Like, did he have? He didn't even have any fights outside the UFC, right? He hasn't done
Urbina?
anything too much.
He's fought
Yeah.
he fought Sean Brady actually.
No, no, no. I meant since his
Oh no,
since
yeah, he
the,
that
the
that he
battle
has taken
finished
like
it.
2 years off.
Yeah, so he hasn't done shit the whole time. Obviously, he's gonna come in at 170. The guy, he's let's just be frank. He's a wild Mexican in that first round, right? He's fucking coming at you, right? That's why he's eating jabs. He's taking knees, right? He's a Mexican. I guess he doesn't like the American flag because he's always taking a knee, dude. Quickly after these fights start. But I just feel that Orion, I need to see these guys both weigh in. Because Okasi, whatever, or Kasi, he missed. I don't know what his weight was against Blood. He missed weight. He looked
He
horrible.
did.
He looked horrible. And that definitely contributed, I think, to that piss poor performance. So I'm hoping that he's coming in a little bit better shape. But if he does, I do think that wise early, maybe it's like kind of it could be competitive. But Urbina really like he doesn't really have a second or third gear. And to his credit, Kasi does if he shows up. He has shown that, some grit and some grind. And I think he just has like a better plan over a course of like a 3-round fight to try to win, as opposed to Urbina, who he's just gonna come in there, maybe have some spots, have some moments, maybe early, maybe in the end of the first round, beginning. I don't know when. Could get a little hairy, maybe. But I think Orion at the end of the day, being more active, hopefully having a wake up call in that last fight where he could have lost it, like already got docked some pay, blah blah blah. This is a fight where it's like, man, this is a good fight for him, to try to win, right? In terms of UFC level fights. So I'm gonna just roll with him, but we got a height difference here, a little bit of a size difference. So he's gonna have to show up on his game. But I'm not betting, but I'll pick Orion Kasi.
Yeah, I think so too. And I do think we're going to see Urbina look a little better because he hadn't fought since 2019. He joined the Ultimate Fighter at kind of up a weight class, and He didn't look too good in the Ultimate Fighter in the finale, but I think will see some improvements from him here. But still, can't be relying on that stuff when you're making bets. So that'll move us along to the women's strawweight division. Karolina Kowalkiewicz taking on Vanessa Demopoulos. Odds for this one, KK minus 130, Demo plus 110. I actually kind of like this fight. I like both these women overall. What are your thoughts here?
I don't like Vanessa Demopoulos, and I feel that she's gotten really lucky her UFC run. Getting a few girls that suck on the ground, like whatever happened in that. Honestly, I'm gonna be honest. I don't not. I've yet to watch that GU Free fight because I'm not. I don't really give a shit. Like overall, like
You're not missing shit.
I watched one round and I thought I'm like, well, every round is gonna look like this, so I think I'm good. Um, so the main thing. Have you what the have Yes. People ask weird questions like you very often, Martian, is actually what I'm noticing. But the
What? Why? Did somebody just ask you a weird
weird
question?
question. But look, the Maria Oliveira fight though, I will give her credit because she kind of fought to her strengths there. And that is the main thing that I'm gonna talk about here is that these girls Carolina, obviously, in her last fight, she struck for a lot of it. But in her fights, she just often grappled. They're just grappling happen. It just happens. And I feel with the women, the main thing is like some Martian. You've seen like Abu Dhabi, right? Like ADCC, those kinds of things, right? You'll often see the men, right? They don't they go for takedowns on each other. They can't get them, whatever. But you rarely see girls stalemate in terms of trying to grapple, take each other down. Because at the end of the day, you know what? They're like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's go to the ground. Let's see what happens. And that's what I noticed, I think, with all these girls. And I think this fight is going to hit the ground one way or another, whether Vanessa pulls guard, stripper guard, whether she takes Carolina down, whether Carolina takes her down. Somehow they're going to hit the ground. So I think the fight is actually going to probably play out a little bit closer than a lot of people expect when they think about the girls' skills. Because skill for skill, strategy, all these things, Carolina blows her out of the water. Like, Vanessa Demopoulos is very opportunistic and all these kinds of things. But I feel that Carolina has much more built, put together fight, game plan. But I will say this woman has been getting hit clean in the face in a lot of these in both of those last two fights. Like Felice hit her kind of easily and Silvana hit her, but her chin held up pretty good. Vanessa has dropped a few girls. So I think this is gonna be a good scrap. I like Carolina because she's just more well rounded, has gone these 3 rounds fighting, girls in like more contentious fights. But I also still don't 100% trust her defensive grappling. But I'll still pick her because I think her game is better than Vanessa Demopoulos.
It is. This should be Carolina. Um, I don't like doing the whole like compare prices type of thing from like last fights, but early in the fight week last time, Maria Oliveira was favored over Demopoulos at a pretty similar price. And Maria Oliveira is a complete trash fighter with like one UFC win. Carolina's been around for 7 or 8 years. And even though she had a really bad lapse in her career a few years back where she lost a lot of fights, she's actually come back and looked very good and competent in her past 2 fights. Both fights, I just think that she approached them with a good game plan. I mean, Felice Herrig, the odds were really close there. She absolutely destroyed her on the mat in that fight. And then Silvana, I just thought she did everything well there. She mixed in her takedowns. She pressured Silvana and got her on the back foot. She was throwing a lot of her own striking volume there versus Silvana. She did lose that final third round, but just did enough to win the first 2 rounds. And I thought it was a pretty intelligent performance from Carolina. Um, and now, Vanessa, she's coming off 2 wins, but I mean, the Jinyu Fry decision was a very lucky decision. The majority of people scored that fight for Jinyu Fry. I think if you look on MMA decisions, like 9 out of 10 people of the precious MMA media scored it for Jinyu Fry. So she was kind of lucky to get that one, and then she beats Maria Oliveira, who is like I was just saying, just a trash fighter. And the way she won that fight is she hit a few takedowns on Oliveira, who's terrible on bottom. She dropped Oliveira. But she still struggled with the distance striking of Oliveira in that fight. I just feel Carolina is a little bit better and it's more experienced everywhere. Vanessa could catch her with some sort of armbar on the mat. But if this fight hits the decision and we see like a full fight between these two, I'm pretty confident Carolina is going to display the better skill. So, not one for advocating women's MMA favorites, but I do think this price is good on Carolina. I cap her closer to like, I don't know, 65-ish% here. So, um, I like her, and I'll probably end up with a better on here myself. We're going to move on to the last fight on the prelim. Should be a fun striking fight here in the lightweight division. Maheshate taking on Vyacheslav-Borschev. The odds for this one, Borschev minus 155, Maheshate plus 135. Kind of two-way action coming in on this one, but odds staying about the same all week. Um, and I mean, this one should be a striking fight. Both these guys are not good grapplers. I would say Borschev is actually the worst grappler of the two. And, early in the week, I was thinking Maheshate would probably be the side. After watching some tape, I kind of think the line is just about accurate where it's at, because these guys both could hurt each other on the feet. But I think that if we see an extended striking fight here, I think Borschev just has a little more thought and attritional behind his striking. He works the leg kicks, he rips to the body, he throws in combination pretty well. He's pretty defensively bad and just sloppy at all things. But I didn't really like Mahashate's fight against Esther Madura, which was a kickboxing fight. He got wobbled in round one there. Came back to win the second and third rounds, but just didn't have a super high volume in those rounds. And I think it's probably going to take a high volume 15-minute striking affair to win this fight. So I guess Borschev is probably a little more likely to do so. So I guess this line is just about accurate for me.
Don't really have that many thoughts on this fight. I was big on Rafa Garcia last fight that place had Maheshate had, because I was like, man, this guy just not very well put together. Doesn't look that strong to me. Doesn't look that like dangerous. Like he caught Steve Garcia, but I feel like if he kind of starts planting his feet, gonna exchange like that, he's going unconscious, or it's just not gonna be something that he'll be able to consistently do. But the issue is with both these guys is I like fighters that they are gonna be able to like fight in a different way if their plan A doesn't work. And I don't think either of these guys have a plan B. I don't even know what Mahashate's plan A is, to be honest with you. Um, but yeah, like I mean, I do like that. That last fight, like how and tough it was. Like I'm sure he took some learning from that. But I would rather honestly, I would still rather pay Mahashate because there's no way I'm laying juice on Slava. But at least
I agree.
Slava, this guy, his grappling is so bad, but he didn't give up. He still looked interested. Against Mark the KC, but this fight fucking sucks.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll be entertaining. It's definitely not good.
That fight is awful, Martian. Come
Yeah, but
on,
it is awful. But don't you think it has the potential to be entertaining?
maybe.
Like,
If Slava just takes him down and holds him down.
no, that's not gonna happen. If anything, I think Mahashati will be landing takedowns here, but I don't know. Next fight is the first fight on the main card. Fun one here. Two veteran fighters, lightweight division. Michael Johnson taking on Carlos Diego Ferreira. Odds for this one: CDF minus 163, MJ plus 143. Your turn to start this one off.
Yeah, I didn't see this one coming. Pause. Uh, but yeah, CDF obviously has been out for a while. He had a run where people were respecting him definitely a lot. He was favorite in a bunch of his fights. Um, underdog against that what's that guy Maribak Tyson.
Yeah.
Your boy was like that guy's gonna be a UFC champion. You remember him?
Yeah, I do.
Um,
Manpreet, yes.
oh yes, yeah, that guy. Um, But yeah, but the shocking thing is like one that Carlos Diego Ferreira never has really been a takedown artist. Two, he's been knocked out or hurt by southpaws on a number of occasions. Three, his cardios look sketchy sometimes, but his chin has always looked pretty good. And obviously we know Michael Johnson is allergic to the ground. Obviously, in this point in his career, he might mess around a little bit with the wrestling, with the Black Zillions, or what do they call Kill Cliff over there. Maybe he'll mess around with the wrestling, but he's not. This guy's not doing jujitsu. So if the fight goes to the ground, I think he's in like the most amount of trouble anyone could be in. But the issue is that CDF doesn't really have. He's like a women's MMA grappler. He doesn't really have double legs and single legs, and his takedown defense is also bad. But, if he gets to clinch, like, that's, like, his opportunity to get a takedown, maybe shrugging guys to the back, but he's a great counter grappler. But the thing is, Michael Johnson has no grappling to counter, so it's like, joke's on you. So, should still be a good fight, I think, but I still like CDF. Like, I know you like Michael Johnson, spoiler alert, but the fact is, like, CDF does keep his hands pretty high up, Um and Michael Johnson, he did get dropped by what's his name? Jamie Malarkey and some other dude. I forgot the other guy that fucked him up. But I'm
Me too.
I just want to I just want to watch this fight.
Who dropped him? I don't remember
Michael
that.
Johnson do something stupid. I'll look into it. At one point, CDF is gonna get his hands on Michael Johnson and take his back. So I,
Uh, Michael Johnson had a rough 2019, 2020, 2021. He lost several fights, 4 fights in that time period. And he came back on fire in 2022. I mean, he did drop a split to Jamie Malarkey. I honestly thought he won that fight, but it was very close. And I just think the guy has been looking actually better in a lot of areas where people where he struggled historically, right? So he stuffed a lot of takedowns versus Patrick. He stuffed a lot of takedowns versus DKC. That's been a big problem of his. Jamie Malarkey, dropped him at the end of round one, was winning round two. Everyone was writing MJ off. And then he comes back and he's the one winning round three, which he never does. This guy always has a terrible round three. So MJ has actually been looking, better as of lately. Now CDF has not fought in a year and a half, right? He is now 38 years old. He is not training at Fortis MMA for this camp. He's training at his own jiu-jitsu gym down in South Texas. So no idea what kind of pros he's training with there. And if you're looking at the line minus 163 for CDF, you're thinking, oh, he's going to need to wrestle to cover that price tag. It's very unlikely that he's going to cover that striking with MJ. So if you look at you're thinking, oh, CDF, he's a great grappler. Surely he's wrestled a lot throughout his career. He has only hit takedowns in 3 UFC fights, guys. One, Colton Smith back in the day, 2014, took down Kyle Nelson 2 times.
Ultimate Fighter winner, Colton Smith.
Amazing.
That
I
Michael
don't even know
Johnson
that.
never did.
I don't even know who that guy is. Wait, MJ won, didn't he? Didn't he?
Did
Oh no, he got not. Didn't he
no,
lose to Tony Ferguson
Tony
or
Ferguson
some
won
shit?
that shit.
Yeah.
But then they fought afterwards, and I was in attendance. That was the day that I think that was the day when Nate Diaz choked out Jim Miller at an event, and what's his name broke his arm. Tony Ferguson.
Really? All right.
Yeah,
Interesting.
I was in the
Um,
Prudential Center. That was the last time I went to Newark. Uh, on my own will, like so on my own 2 feet.
got
The times I got dragged.
it. We're gonna fact check that. We're gonna see if that's real. I don't believe it was, but we'll see about that.
Real, bro.
Anyway,
It's fucking real. It's on Cinco de Mayo, 2012. We got lit as fuck that day. It was Diaz versus Jim Miller. It was on Fox. Oh
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, that's right. He beat Tony Ferguson. Interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, okay, so moving on. Now that we got past that history lesson, so what I was saying something about, oh yeah, CDF. He's only wrestled, and then he wrestled to beat Anthony Pettis. He wrestled to beat Kyle Nelson. So in 3 out of his 13 UFC fights, he's wrestled offensively, and it's just not something that he's super reliable to do. So if you're laying this juice on CDF, I would want to be pretty damn sure that he is coming in here with his wrestling shoes on to get the fight to the floor, where he should have just a massive advantage over MJ. But with a year and a half off at the age of 38, training at a new gym with an unknown situation in the pros, there's no chance that he could be getting as good training down there as he was at Fortis. There's just too many red flags for CDF. So I see a guy who's been surging lately in MJ. I see him at plus money. I see this matchup being not too bad for him. Obviously, if he ends on bottom, it's going to be pretty bad. But I trust him to maneuver around the cage, land some good shots as he always does, and he always had a good first layer of takedown defense. It's just those chain shots, which is CDF's type of wrestling. So I don't know. I like MJ for like a unit bet on this one.
I cannot believe you said MJ is fucking surgeon.
He's surging, bro. He's 21 and 18. He had
Nah,
a fi
get the
he had
fuck
a
out of here, dude.
fire 2022, could have been 3-0, and this motherfucker is surging. Um,
Probably not even training.
he has been plus EV in 3 of his fights in a row, I'll tell you that. That's for damn sure. Um
That is true, that is true.
um, there we go.
He also lost to Clay Guida as, like, a -250 favorite.
That was a bad look. I am concerned about that fight. I'm actually gravely concerned about that one. As my boy Sriram pointed out, Clay Guida has better cardio than CDF does. So, next fight, welterweight division.
Also harmless.
Uh, Andre Fiallo taking on Joaquin Buckley. Line for this one: Buckley -210, Fiallo +180. Big steam on Buckley in the early week. Went from -160 to -210. I guess it's about right. I don't know though. At this price, so this is another situation with some red flags. Joaquin Buckley coming off a knockout loss, moving down in weight class here. Has been knocked out in the UFC a few times now. Kevin Holland, Alessio Di Chirico, Chris Curtis got him. And I like the over 1.5 in this fight and the goes the distance because the way I was watching these guys fight is Buckley. Just if you just think how he fights, this guy's always skirting around the outside. He comes into the pocket with his short little arms and he throws like a 3 or 4 punch combination, and then he immediately exits the pocket. He circles around. He comes in and out. That's what he does the entire fight. He darts in and out. It was working well against Chris Curtis until it wasn't. Until he got hit with the shot and put out there. But I just think that that type of style is going to be good for the over here because if you guys know Fiallo, he's kind of heavy on his feet. He doesn't really kick much. He doesn't use a lot of movement. He kind of just plants his feet and boxes. So if Buckley is darting in and out, I don't see Fiallo having the footwork to track him down to bring these exchanges. So I think that Fiallo is going to reserve to counter striking, looking to land a shot on Buckley when he comes in. And I just think that both these guys will have some competitive striking exchanges. And I think it should go over 1.5. Um, because Fiallo been knocked out twice in a row, but it took some big shots to finally put him away there. I think if this one is finishing under 1.5, it's actually going to be Fiallo the one KOing him. So yeah, I 1 unit on over 1.5, and then zero point 0.4 units on goes the distance. Plus 230 on that.
Okay.
So yeah, I just like this one to go long. I guess Buckley should win by decision or something, but any thoughts for you here?
Okay, okay, yeah, like this fight I'm mildly interested in. I do like that overlean as well. I'm kind of just looking at this fight thinking, okay, Buckley going down to 170, right? So his biggest advantage at 185 was speed. Like, he's pretty quick, moving consistently. Didn't have to cut the weight, right? So, he could rely on his gas tank a bit. But like you said, a lot of times, like some of the punches that he throws, right, and you see it from his stats, right? Just like the accuracy. He's just always missing, right? And that obviously also because the guys are a lot taller, but he's not very sharp with his strikes. The placement of his punches is not his strong suit. There's some guys that are very right, precise and things like that. And I would actually put Andre Fiallo more in that camp of, he's a lot more thoughtful about where his punches are going, which punch he's throwing next, all these kinds of things, right? You saw in like the um Miguel Baeza fight. Baeza's catching him early on, and then the tempo or like the sentiment of the fight, the energy of the fight changes very quickly once like Fiallo either I don't know what adjustment he made, but he just started firing off these strikes way sharper and maybe like just slightly right after uh Baeza was, so he was just not waiting and kind of just countering right away. So I think that could be potentially something good here. I do think that that's kind of what happened with Chris Curtis. Like Chris Curtis was like taking all these shots on his gloves, on his shoulders, on his arms, and then when he's ready to kind of like fire back, he was kind of landing a bit, and then obviously ended up catching him with a shot to knock him out. So Fiallo, he does have his hands up often, right? You saw that with the Salikov, fight even when he got like spin kicked. It was kind of like his hands were there, but it was like he didn't even know where to put them, or I don't know if it like mildly deflected off his arm and it still knocked him out. But that was still a bad beatdown. Don't get me wrong, and that is concerning to me. Like the shots that he took against Shake Matthews and the shots that he took against Salikov, um, doesn't inspire me that much to want to back him. but I do think he'll probably be a little bit more defensively responsible. Like I said, he's a soul starter sometimes as well. I mean, he's a soul starter. He got back cardio. There's a lot of things that are not good about this guy. So I don't think I'm gonna invest in him, take him, but I do kind of want to bet that over a little bit because Buckley, maybe he tries to wrestle a little bit. Obviously, guy's not got no submission game. But maybe he tries to wrestle a little bit, conserve the gas tank, not as hyperactive, and even if he doesn't, like I said, the guy's just not that accurate with his strikes. And I do feel Fialho is going to be comfortable in there probably. Maybe throw a few more kicks and stuff. Maybe both these guys might go more into kick range, and kind of kick at each other a little bit. We do have Southpaw versus Orthodox here as well. Buckley does have a reach advantage. So I do
Really?
like that. Ray
He does?
doesn't. He's 76. I mean, Fialho has a long reach, but yeah, Buckley's is like an inch and a half longer.
Yeah.
So I think we could see this be a little bit more at kick range early, up a little bit later. Um, but both guys have definitely flaws. But I mean, Buckley is their favorite for sure.
These boys were born 3 weeks apart from one of each other in 94. Money line wise, though, I really think Buckley at minus 200 is a bad bet, so I can't fault anyone taking the Fiallo bet. Um, so enough said about that one, though. Women's division next. This is actually a catchweight fight at 120 pounds, apparently. Emily Ducote taking on Lupita-Godinez. Odds for this one, Godinez minus 153, Ducati plus 133. I'll pass it right back to you, Ozzy.
Yeah.
Your girl Godinez back in action. Any faith in her this time around?
Yeah, like my girl Minabay said, I talk shit about women's MMA fights, but I like betting on them. And that is very true. But I respect the women's game. Don't get me wrong. This has made me a lot. It's just frustrating when like you see these girls make these mistakes, you're like, "Ah, God, like this is such a simple one." Which is why I try to get more women to fight MMA, but they're not that interested. Um, but getting into this fight, you got two girls here. Emily Ducote is very well rounded. She wrestled in like college, right, which is nuts. Has a little bit jiu-jitsu, and but her kickboxing is what she does best, right? She mixes in her kicks very, very well, right? Throws low calf kicks, throws kicks to the body, has a head kick even as well, in her repertoire. So I think this fight is gonna be pretty close overall. Just because Godinez, yeah, I love her grappling. I think her takedowns are really good. Overall, and like when she gets it on the ground, she does some decent work. But like I feel this girl does make some bad decisions as well in the cage. I wish she made more bad decisions outside of the cage so I could potentially have a chance. But inside the cage, she makes I feel some mental errors. This fight is again like just 6 weeks after the last one. She did say like right it was annoying when she said for the Angela Hill fight that, oh, I took it on very short notice and this and that, all these kinds of things. And she's doing it again. She's doing it exactly again against Emily Ducote. Catch weight fight, fucking, like 10 days notice, something like that. And you're fighting a girl who, she could probably take a lot of the stuff that happened in the Angela Hill fight from both. I mean, both these girls, recently fought Angela Hill. But I think she could take a lot from that, from both her loss and uh Lupi's loss, and implement that into a better game plan overall. So even though I like Lupi Godinez, I think that Adi potentially has the wrestling up on her feet, and then when she is on her feet, I think she could do much more damage overall, much some attritional work as well. I hope I'm wrong, honestly. Lupi fucking rear naked chokes her in a minute, but I think I would probably side with the Emily Ducote if I had to. I'm not betting on this fight. Again, I need a preface. This is a theme on this one, but I would probably lean if I got like plus 120 or better. I would lean towards Emily Ducote.
Well, she's plus 130.
Plus 130, excuse me, my bad. So I meant above one plus 130. I'd take Emily Ducote.
Um, Looking now, Loopy fought Sam Hughes twice in the amateurs, Jamie Lim Horth twice as well. Tough strength to schedule, man. Loopy, I feel like her career management has actually been really bad. Um, just like you were just saying, taking this fight on short notice. She comes in the UFC on short notice against Penne, loses, gets a win against Juarez Gomez, and then a week later, literally 1 week later, takes a fight up a weight class against some unknown Brazilian women and takes
She's
a loss.
bugging. She's bugging. This yeah, she's bugging.
And then and she fought again 5 weeks after that fight. So I feel like career wise, she needs to make some better decisions. That Calvillo fight was not exactly like an easy fight. I mean, she had
Not
to
at
have
all.
gotten. She got jabbed up in that fight, bro. She was eating jabs from Calvillo left and right. She got hit 104 times in that fight. 58 strikes to the head. So I mean, like, I don't know, bro. It seems pretty
What I'm
stupid of
trying to
her to.
tell you, and Ducati is, I mean, this bitch be putting out,
She
she
be throwing
puts out
hands.
strikes. Yeah, she puts out strikes.
She throws hands, she throws leg kicks. Honestly, on the feet, I think Loopy is kind of like sloppy and she's kind of relying on like a big strike here and there. Calvillo also hit her with 16 out of 20 leg kicks. So I think on the feet it probably will favor Ducati, just pumping out more volume, maybe being a little bit quicker. And Loopy's gonna likely have to wrestle to cover this price tag, which she has done successfully a few times against Loma, against Juarez, against Carnelosi. Um, but then she hit a takedown in round one against Angela Hill, and then it won her the round, and then she didn't shoot any more takedowns the rest of the fight. It kind of strange decision making in there. So Loopy kind of fights like an idiot. Um, I do have a bet on this fight, and it is Godinez plus 925 for ITD. I just think that that's kind of a crazy line. I mean, they have Ducati ITD at plus 285, and they have Godinez at plus 925. Well, I feel like if anyone's finishing this fight, I think it's going to be a Godinez sub. So um, not a bad stab on the ITD there. I mean, it's definitely not going to hit, but you have a chance to make 9 times your money. So I'll throw a small bet on that.
Also, just to add, Emily Ducati also has had a pretty insane, I mean, a pretty great strength of schedule. She's fought. She's got no cupcakes on hers.
Yeah,
So she's tough.
that's true.
She's a tough girl.
Um, Yeah, so if you're making me do a pick, you're making me do a pick in this one, I'll pick Godinez. But I honestly kind of hope she loses. So I definitely wouldn't. This is not a woman I would advise laying chalk on. If you want to lay chalk on a woman, lay it on my girl Karolina Kowalkiewicz, but pass on this one, guys.
I just
Um,
don't think she necessarily has like a great wrestling advantage here.
Godinez?
Yeah, really, uh, like Ducati's wrestling's not that bad.
No, it's not
She's
bad.
fought a lot of grapplers.
Kanako,
She's fought a lot of
Kanako
grapplers.
Murata took her down, right? Yeah, like no terrible women. I looked her up though after you
Yeah,
said that. In college she went 6 and 17 on
yeah,
the wrestling team.
yeah. She wasn't good. She wasn't good.
um,
But I will say Godinez does have good grappling. I like her grappling once she gets attached to you. But I think some maybe closing the distance could be. We'll see.
well, yeah, she doesn't really keep women down. She had to take Silvana Gomez Juarez down 5 times in one round just to submit her. Damn, bro. Ducati's training with Sam Hughes and Jinyu Fry. That's a hell of a combination right there. I don't know, bro. I feel like actually, I feel like Ducati's got this one in the bag after seeing.
And she is a 90. She is a 94 baby.
Really.
Younger than yeah. Lupi's old.
Godinez is like
Lupi's
96 or some shit, isn't she? She's young.
93. No, she's
Oh,
93.
wow. All right, enough about that one. Not the worst women's fight. Co-main event
No.
time, premier division in the UFC, middleweight division time. Anthony Hernandez, Edmund Shahbazyan. Line for this one, Fluffy minus 191, Shahbazyan plus 166. I forget whose turn. I think it's my turn to
Me.
talk.
No, I think it's me.
Okay, you go ahead.
Yeah, so I didn't see his fight coming. I didn't think they were gonna put Edmund in with a guy who could just make him like really regret his decision to be a MMA fighter. But here we are, and I mean, Edmund, I got to give Edmund credit, man. Edmund changed it up now recently, right? He's apparently sparring with everybody, right? Sean Strickland's talking about all this stuff, so he's out of his comfort zone overall, and the guy's got skills. And he's been in with a lot of good, right? Derek Brunson. He's been in with Brad Tavares, right? A favorite of yours. He's been in there with Jack Hermanson, obviously. So in the 15 fights that he's had, a bunch of them were easy ones, right? In that whatever the hell that California promotion is called. What CX? they be fixing fights in one of those things. By the way, once he got into UFC, he's only fought pretty solid guys overall for the most part, here and there. The fact that he had to fight Imavov after getting destroyed by Brunson and Hermanson, I thought was crazy. But here, he's fighting a guy just a endless gas tank and Fluffy Hernandez, a great grappling game, to go with it, an intelligent grappling game, in the positions that he um, commits to and looks to, attack from and maintain and kind of like go back and forth from. But, on the feet, obviously, he's a little bit open, right? He's a little bit reckless at times. He's kind of, I feel, gauging that based on how he feels like the energy levels are from the other guy. And he kind of like looks to, kind of choose his techniques due to that. But, other if you look at the Hodolfo fight, you look at Josh Frem, MAB, they're not the craziest win, if we're being honest, right? Hodolfo, he got him. He was 7 fights in. He gassed, like choked. It was a great fight. Don't get me wrong, choked. But he has good fight wins on his like park and stuff like that. But what I'm saying is, it's not like Fluffy's been beating up on top 15 guys, right? So I'm not. I don't want to. Even though he's looked amazing in all the wins that he's posted, I don't want to overrate it like a crazy amount because I do think that there are some holes in his game that it's not that they're easy to exploit. It's that like the only way for you to beat them is if you exploit those, right? So it's like if you're you got half a brain, kind of like where this guy's gonna go and what your counters need to be and your strikes and kind of stuff like that. Edmund, he is good in space. He does throw some good kicks overall, has a good uppercut, but I just feel he just takes the back foot a little bit too much when when given the opportunity, basically, right? If the other guy's like being like very, very energetic and stuff like that, he'll look to counter and he'll look to find the shot. And I don't think that's a good strategy against Fluffy Hernandez, especially in the small cage as well. Maybe Edmund I think could be competitive a little bit early, right? With the grappling exchanges, digging for underhooks, similar to the Nasser Dean fight, similar to even the Jack Hermanson fight. But at the end of the day, there is nothing Edmund can do, I think, to get the grit and the conditioning and the cardio that Anthony Hernandez does have. So I feel at some point Anthony Hernandez takes him down, double single leg, starts putting the ground and pound on him. Wilts this guy, and I think he's gonna get a finish in like the third round. So we'll see. We'll see if it comes about. Maybe the second round if it starts off faster. But I think this should be a good scrap overall. It should be entertaining. Both guys are gonna go for it. Two younger guys as well, in the middleweight division. So Fluffy, 93 man. Let's get that win.
There's no oh, what just happened?
You're back.
I just heard the Discord noise for some reason. Um, This fight is gonna be entertaining. There's no way that Anthony Hernandez fights cannot be entertaining, you know what I'm saying? And, I mean, you do have to appreciate grappling, but, man, this guy's really good, and, I saw a thread from Fino, I retweeted it earlier today, but he just posted a bunch of clips of Fluffy, and, this guy's a grinder, he's a grappler, but he knows how to set up the takedowns really well. He knows how to disguise the shot with some strikes, get you against the cage, throw some strikes, get you thinking about the strikes to the head, and then shoots on your legs. And he's really good at doing that. And this guy's cardio is just unstoppable, bro. This guy seriously has some of the craziest cardio I've ever seen. Maybe he's just displayed it against some worse opponents, but man, this guy just seems like he can go all day, and nothing's gonna stop him until he gets to his hand raised. Even his losses in the UFC, Kevin Holland, and then he had one other one, right? Marcus Perez, bro. I really think those are kind of like fluke losses in retrospect. I think he gas pedals both those guys more often than not. Especially Kevin Holland, who we've seen do really bad against wrestlers. So I agree with what Ozzy was saying about this fight being competitive early. I think while Edmund is fresh, he will present some problems at distance and even in the clinch, maybe defending a takedown or two. But if Edmund doesn't finish him in the first round, I think Anthony is going to drown him in the second or third. And I think Anthony's second and third round props are really, really good here. You can see them on some books, plus 450, 475, and then they have round three 900 on DraftKings. I think those are really good, bro. I really think it's going to be probably round three for Hernandez here, and they're giving you plus 900 on that. I love that. I really think the money line is getting to be good as well. I mean, when I saw this fight a week ago and it was Edmund minus or Hernandez minus 300, I didn't really think there was anything wrong with that. And people are just loving Shahbazyan this week. So I think I'll probably end up with a bet on Hernandez here. If this price stays under minus 200, I think he wins this fight at more of like a 70 to 75% range instead of, 65 where the line is currently at. So I like Fluffy here, Fluffy round two, round three. Would be pretty surprised to see this one hit the cards. And yeah, let's hope we get that round three plus 900. So that is going to take us to that main event. Highly, highly anticipated fight here. Women's strawweight division. One of my favorites, Angela Hill, taking on one of Ozzy's favorites, Mackenzie Dern. Dern minus 171, Angela Hill plus 146. So, man, I've got some thoughts on this one. And my thoughts are that Angela's gonna win. I just think that this is her time. Mackenzie Dern's main events have not gone too well for her to start. And I really think we should look at those fights, guys. Marina Rodriguez and Yan Shannon. Uh, Going into those fights, Dern was, minus 200 versus both of them. And people are thinking, man, Marina has looked horrible on bottom. She got taken down and destroyed by a few women. Carla Esparza, even Cynthia Calvillo got her down. You could say the same about Yan Shannon. Carla Esparza ran through on the mat. Everyone's thinking, man, with how bad these women have looked on bottom, Dern should be able to get on top and easily win. And she manages to lose both of those fights. Because guys, let's face it, Dern's MMA skill is not good. In terms of blending the striking with the footwork, with the wrestling, it's not good, and it doesn't really seem like it's gotten that much better. I remember she hit that one single leg takedown versus Nina Ansaroff, and I was thinking, man, she actually looks good. Maybe she learned how to wrestle. The answer is no. And if you just look at Marina Rodriguez's last fight against Verna Jane-Dropa, I mean, 3 takedowns is all it takes. This woman cannot get up off her back. And Mackenzie just can't do that because her wrestling stinks. And it doesn't seem like she's actually getting any better at that wrestling. And with her now talking about her changing camps and switching gyms and being a single mother, going through a divorce, do you guys really think that her wrestling is going to get better through all that?
Yes,
No, fuck
yes,
no. You're deluding
yes,
yourself. You're deluding yourself.
yes.
Ozzy's going to tell you that
She's
Dern deserved a 10-8 and it should have been a draw against
it's
Yan
a
Shannon.
that is
But
correct. That is a fact.
no, no, no. But Angela, like, she's actually been looking better in terms of her takedown defense. I just think that, she's a very, very seasoned striker on the
Martian,
feet.
will this fight hit the ground?
Um, yeah, probably. But I think that I think it's gonna be like at in the last like minute or two, and Dern's gonna run out of time, and it's kind of the same thing what happened with Marina, right? She lost round one, she gets the fight on round two on the floor, she's in mount, and then the round ends, and then she's fucked because she can't get the fight back to the floor. So yeah, I think it'll end on the floor once or twice. Dern might win a round or two, but I think that the minute winner, as we like to say in this fight, will be Angela Hill by putting motherfucking hands on Mackenzie Dern by touching her face, and I think that Dern, after he eating some punches here, after the fight not going her way, she's going to be thinking about all the shit that's going on in her life, that she's got no coach, her husband left her, this and
Oh,
that, her
bro.
her, her child's waiting at home. It's Angela Hill season, guys. I'm not going to bet on her because every time I bet on Angela Hill, she loses. And maybe I will. I don't know, guys. But this fight is just Angela, bro. I mean, she's got good energy. She's much more attractive than Mackenzie Dern. She's a better fighter. She's better at MMA. And that's all we need to talk about.
The
I mean, does
fact
anybody
that
actually does that wait, Ozzy, do you actually think that Mackenzie Dern is better at MMA than Angela Hill?
at winning at MMA, yeah.
No, no, that's not the question. Is she better at MMA?
No, it doesn't matter, bro. It doesn't matter who's better at MMA. It matters who wins. That's what matters.
Well, we want to talk about is in the numbers. I don't know if Mackenzie Dern is 63% better than
Well,
Angela
does
Hill,
it do you need to be better than someone at MMA to be a favorite over them?
but
No. The
not
answer
not
is
not
no.
typically,
All
not
right
not
then.
typically,
All
but
right then.
majority
So
of the time.
all right then. So your point is void. Anyway, okay,
I
so
love
about
Angela.
this fight, you like Angela Hill. Angela Hill, she knows how she needs to win this fight. She knows how to win. She needs to win any fight, all her fights from the beginning of time. And the fact remains, the woman is 15-12. Okay, she is the female Michael Johnson, but she's surging, as Martian will try to point out. But she beat who she beat in her last two fights, Martian. Beat Ducati
Ducati and Loopy.
and Loopy. Okay,
Respectable women, bro.
Loopy, short notice, San Diego, her this woman's hometown, blah blah blah, whatever. Either way, the fact that Emily Ducati at no point tried to take Angela Hill down, or like,
Outside the first round.
I mean, she didn't really barely try to.
Oh, wait, Ducati? I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
Ducati. Ducati tried. She they credit her with a takedown. She never tried to take her down, really. And Godinez, I don't know what the hell happened to her because she should have. After that first round, I was like, okay, like, what are you gonna, let's get another takedown here. Let's get it. But then she got taken down, so that was funny. But I just feel at some point, dude, the fight's gonna hit the ground, and Angela Hill's gonna get submitted, dude. Like, I really feel that way. And Mackenzie's Dern's biggest enemy is the clock. It's not Angela Hill. It's the clock. Um,
It's herself.
maybe it's
She's her biggest
She
enemy.
probably is. She's probably a bad girl. But either way, the fight's gonna hit the ground and this girl's gonna get choked. Because Angela Hill, dude, even though at some point she survived and stuff like that, I just feel that it's not gonna happen, dude. I know some people that used to train with her when she was out in it's just not happening, dude. I think she's getting submitted. Like, I'm gonna call second round submission, Mackenzie Dern. Be my call.
How is Mackenzie gonna get the fight to the floor?
Did you watch the Tisha Torres fight?
I did. I'm just asking you. How do you think
I
she gets
think,
it to the floor?
dude, I just think that at some point Angela Hill's gonna be throwing knees and stuff like that, and then
That's
either like a Muay Thai clinch, and either Dern's gonna like grab one of her legs and she's gonna fall down, or she's gonna kind of like just wrap arms around her like a body lock, and then just kind of like wrench her over, jump on her back.
that's a good read. The clinch. Um, yeah, I mean that's possible. I mean the
Look, Angela Hill's gonna be active. Like, Angela Hill's the kind of girl that, like, let's say Mackenzie grabs like a single leg, like Angela's gonna be trying to hit her with like an elbow, back fist, punching her. So I could see her, Mackenzie, at some point. It
yeah,
would be
I
funny
feel
if
like
she dropped
Mackenzie's a
Mackenzie
slight
and
favorite
then
there.
jumped in her guard and got submitted. I would
That
not.
would be funny.
Don't put that past Angela Hill. Put
You
that
know,
past.
I mean, if we're being serious, I mean, Dern probably does deserve to be favored 55% ish, just because she needs a lot less to go right to win the fight. Angela Hill is likely going to need like 25 minutes of stuff and takedowns, outstriking, avoiding the ground. A lot's going to have to go right for her, while Dern just needs to end up on top at one
That's the
moment.
other
And
thing that I'm saying. Like, even if you look at that Loopy fight, bro, like that fight just became just like a mess overall. And I just feel in the fight, like where Angela's really actually trying to land on Mackenzie, it's just gonna be too much opportunity. Take her down.
um, you think you're going to bet anything on this fight?
Absolutely not. I'm not watching. I was telling you about this. I'm doing stuff on Saturday. I'm not watching this fight. Maybe I'll catch like the last like maybe like 2-3 fights if they have it in a certain location. But otherwise than that, dude, very bad fight card.
You'll tune in just to see Angela win 49-46 across
Honestly,
the board. That'll be a
I
good.
wouldn't really mind, but the next day will be Gemini season, so I'll put it behind. I won't take a May 20th after it's over.
Yeah. I'm locking in some bets right now on Anthony Hernandez round two, round three. Those bets are definitely going to win. So you guys should join along in those. But that's going to do it for us this week. We are off next week, Memorial Day, as you were saying. Dana White loves his country and he's giving everyone the week off. We'll be back before UFC on June 3rd. So hope you all have a good one. Hope you all have a good start to your Gemini season, you particularly, Ozzy. And
Sure.
we will see you all before the next UFC card. Peace out, everyone.